Welcome to another episode of That's Some Crazy Shit with Kelly and James. I am your host, or one of your hosts, Kelly, and my co-host, as always, is James. Kind of makes sense, right?
It does, because I'm the Kelly and the James. I'm the James of that part.
Yeah,
So,
otherwise...
what's up?
You know what? It is another fantastic day. Just happy to be here. There's some crazy shit going on in the world that we're going to talk about because this is called That's Crazy Shit.
It is crazy.
And although we have something planned today, we don't have a guest. Like last week, we had Dr. Tran, the pediatric GI that was on last week. And today we're going to actually be talking about a couple of paranormal ranches. Right, James? Stardust and SkinWalker.
Correct. We're going to kind of focus on what's going on there because it is crazy.
It is some crazy shit. But before we go there, I just want to call out some crazy shit that happened this week with the storming of the Capitol and the riots. And I know that everybody's been talking about it. It's been what everybody's talking about. But just because this podcast is called That's Some Crazy Shit, I feel like we owe it to ourselves to call it out because that was some crazy shit.
It was crazy. We are living in, this is history, Kelly. They'll talk about this stuff forever. At what point do we call it for what it is? It was sedition.
Yeah.
No more protesters, no one, I'm just voicing my, First Amendment rights. No, you try to have a coup and you should be prosecuted for it.
And the thing that makes it so crazy is when this shit happens, when stuff like this goes down, I just wonder what did you think was going to happen? What did you really think that you were going to change something through this method of violence? I mean, really? I don't understand that. I don't get that part. Like at what point do you not just say I lost and we get to move on with our lives?
Well, for them there is no ending point. I'm going to get what I want, and the ends justifies the means, and this is what's frustrating because they're getting away with things that you think about. The protesters this summer, they were being tear gassed so Trump could take pictures at a church, but yet people can break into the Capitol and it's okay. 56 arrests. Hey, let's not get crazy now. This is crazy shit.
You know what makes it even crazier? You know what even makes it crazier shit is after the day after I listened to President-elect Biden's speech, and I'll be damned if this man just didn't call it out for what it was. And I was extremely surprised that he basically said, if this would have been another group of people, things would have looked differently. And I think that's what we were all thinking, but not everybody came out and said it, right? For fear of whatever, but I'm calling it like I see it. We all know it. When I saw the pictures of them actually storming the Capitol, I cannot sit here and say that I was surprised. Nor was I surprised that there was no force against them. And that's really sad. I can't say that I was absolutely shocked. I was like, and then they let him hang out for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Make your stuff at home.
Take some selfies, whatever. And now
we'll validate your parking. No problem.
I saw
you dropped the pipe bomb. We'll catch up with you later.
I even saw where they were helping the lady down the steps.
Was that the one that was upset that she got maced?
I don't know. I didn't see. I just saw, how the news is. We're only going to show you bits and pieces, right? I just saw them, the video of them helping her down the steps. And I just wanted to call it out today because I really felt like it was some crazy shit. I feel like we live in some crazy times. And I feel like we all need to take a deep breath and try to stay grounded and focused because, James, and I'm not an expert, I'm going to put that out there, but it is my thoughts that we are not out of the woods And I know everybody's talking 2021. Yeah, no, 2022 is our year, right?
Yeah, I agree.
2022 is our year. This year, there's still a lot we don't know. They're talking about super virus, COVID 0.50 and shit. So yeah, I would just hunker down for 2021. We can still get together and chat about some crazy shit. But 2020.
This is like the hangover year.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
2020, we got all fucked up. We had a little bit too much to drink and we got a little crazy. Now the 2021, it's like, oh God, I got to drink some water. I better take some aspirin.
And I will see you January 1, 2022.
Yeah,
so that's just my thought. It's some crazy shit. I just wanted to put it out there.
No, I agree, man. I do.
I just wanted to put it out there because it's crazy. It's crazy. And it's everything that's happened. Oh, another thing that I thought was crazy, I'll just bring this up. As I'm listening to Biden speak, the only thing that kept running through my head is, God, he sounds so logical. Right? He sounds so credible.
He sounds so sane.
I'm just so not used to this, right? I mean, there's no like craziness in this. I'm just what? I had become desensitized to logical speeches, right? So when I listened to him, I was like, that was like the most logical speech I've heard in 4 years.
That made sense.
It actually did make sense.
I can follow that train of thought.
It's just crazy to me. So I just thought I would call it out because it's some crazy shit. So we're going to get into SkinWalker Ranch and Stardust Ranch. That's our topic for today, paranormal ranches. And I'm going to give you guys all the links to us at the end of the podcast. Just know that we are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. Where else are we? I think
we're everywhere.
I think we're everywhere, and we even have an email. And I will drop all of those at the end of the podcast. They'll be in the podcast description as well. But we are going to get right to it. Are you ready, James? SkinWalker, Stardust?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so me and James decided to split this up between us, and he got SkinWalker and I got Stardust. So I don't know a lot about either besides, what bits and pieces. I've never really dived into it. I know that it's some crazy shit that goes on at the SkinWalker, and from what I found when I did my research on Stardust, there's a lot of crazy shit going on Stardust. So, James, if you'll help me out here, I will tell you what I know, and then my friend, you will fill in the blanks, yes?
Yes, sounds good.
Okay, so Stardust Ranch is located in Rainbow Valley, Arizona, by a guy named John Edmonds and his wife. And they purchased this ranch in 1996. And he has said, and he's got interviews and there's video out there on YouTube, and he even wrote a book. He said for the past 20 years, since just like right after they bought this property, he has basically experienced many strange events involving aliens, and he has claimed to have killed more than a dozen on his ranch. So this is my question. Let's stop right there. Okay. James, this dude says he's claimed to have killed more than a dozen aliens. Where are the alien bodies?
Now, according to him, this is just what I've heard, when he kills them, they disappear in a bright flash of light.
Oh, okay.
So there are no bodies, but people are saying, well, that's kind of convenient, there's no bodies. But then you have people on the other side saying, well, it's because they're multi-dimensional. When you kill them here, their body goes to their original dimension. That's why they go out with the light.
Okay. So let's go. Wait, you triggered something. because now we're talking about dimensions.
Right.
So aren't we all multidimensional? Aren't there? Is
I think
that the
like
same
we
thing?
talked about this.
Is that
We
the
did.
same thing as a parallel universe?
Right.
Right, where there's
100%.
multiple of us living out in other dimensions. So
Correct.
aren't we multidimensional too? So
And I believe you have the ability to go into other dimensions. Um, Myself, I think there are portals throughout the world. I think that explains some disappearances and some of the sightings that are happening on Skinwalker Ranch. And we talked about this before.
we did.
And so, I think that we are capable. I don't think we have the technology that I know of, to slip in and out of dimensions. But that
Well,
doesn't mean others intelligent life doesn't have that ability.
I just asking because I wondered when I read that, like, where are these ET carcasses? But okay, that's cool. Let's
No, because that was the exact same question I had when I heard the story.
So, some of his experiences at the Stardust Ranch include aliens trying to abduct his wife right out of bed. He said that they had her levitating, and he said, and I quote, "They actually levitated my wife out of bed in the master chamber and carried her into the parking lot and tried to draw her up into the craft." So,
Right.
and I guess that story, James, you said that he went and got a shotgun.
No, AK-47.
He went and got an AK-47 and fired at the ship, and they released her.
Correct, according to the story he says. Now, you have to think, this is pretty intense. This is some crazy shit, okay? You have a gentleman that's claiming not only to have contact with extra-dimensional beings, ETs, aliens, whatever, and he's having armed conflict with these things. I mean, it's literally the war of the worlds.
Yeah, okay. So there's more. So in 2017 on Facebook, in March, they say that there is a picture of a bloodied samurai sword in a pool of what looks like dried alien blood from an alien that he said that he killed on March 13th. Right? And then in another photo, he shows a wound of his calf and wrote that wound, and it was like a pretty deep gash this calf had. And he said that it came from a battle with a malevolent ET. So, and you said that in that story, the ET you said came out of the chimney?
Came out of the fireplace.
Out of the fireplace?
Yeah.
Well, I guess they could get down. I mean, Santa can get down. Why can't aliens? I'm just
I mean, I've seen pictures, and it's a pretty good sized fireplace, though. It's one of those old style big log ones.
Yeah.
But once again, if they're coming through a portal, time space really doesn't really jive. You could have a elephant coming out of a small opening.
There is also there's not a lot of video on YouTube, but everything that I could read about Stardust, short of buying Mr. Edmonds' book because it is available on Amazon, there's not a lot written besides in his book. There's a lot of interviews with him, and there's a lot of video. So the property was also featured on Ghost Hunters, and it's gained international attention. Now, he does, when the information that I could find, he at one time, and maybe now still today, I couldn't really confirm, the ranch was for sale. He was trying to sell it because he says he's tired of fighting these terrestrials. Which, let me ask you a question. If you're these Greys, and he says that they're Greys, and this dude has killed, I don't know, a dozen of you, would you have not have taken him out by now?
You would think, but and so that then it brings up the question, what if they really don't want to do him harm, quote unquote? Think about when we study animals. we'll go out and we'll trank them, we'll tag them, we'll take measurements, and then we'll leave them. And maybe that's what they're trying to do.
But if one of them attacked us, we would take it out. So if we're out there tagging a bunch of lions, and one of those lions attacked us,
right,
and killed one of us, we would take out that lion.
Right. And so it's the same thing, if you ask me.
Well, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. If he's killed 20 of them, why is he able to, not 20, 12? If he's taken out 12 of these things, then why have they not, why would they not try to take him out, I guess?
Maybe their definition of dangerous is different than ours. Maybe they still don't consider him a threat, Maybe it's more important to let him live than take him out for some reason, Who knows?
Maybe. So he did say that whoever goes to buy the property, and it's for sale for $5 million. So if you got extra $5 million laying around, you can purchase the Stardust Ranch.
Yeah,
it has already been bought.
Let me get my visa.
And he said that whoever buys the property, he recommends that you be well grounded, because the energy there has a tendency to manifest what's going on inside of you. Whatever's going on with you, whatever you're thinking about or whatever, that's what it tends to manifest, which is kind of interesting that he would say that, because if he wanted to manifest a buyer, couldn't he do that? Because
I think it would be, he wants to manifest, it would come down to what the base feeling, he wants what gratification or something. So I think the ranch might give him something that would be gratifying. I don't know if it so much would provide a buyer, as so much maybe, I don't know, give him a extra cool light show or something, you know what I mean? I don't think their definition is the same as ours.
What I'm saying is that if he says that you have to be well grounded because the energy there has the tendency to manifest whatever is going on with you. That's his quote. So he's saying that there's a lot of energy here and you can manifest things very quickly, and you got to be grounded and otherwise you're going to manifest some crazy shit. That's what that means to me. So I'm saying, if that's the case, could he not just think and focus and manifest a buyer for the ranch?
Well, I don't know. I guess he could, but what I'm saying, from what I know of the story of SkinWalker Ranch, it doesn't quite work that way. It's like if you are experiencing anxiety, it may provide like something that would make you nervous, or if you feel like you're being watched, something might manifest where you see something staring at you from behind a tree. That's from my knowledge of the SkinWalker Ranch. That's how it works. I don't know if it would be different down there. I guess you could, but I don't know.
It was interesting. I just thought that was an interesting thing to say, because I'm real big on manifesting.
You are, and there is something to it. There is something to it. So but like I said, I don't know if it works like that in these places.
So there's another instance with this ranch. So in 2016, he was doing an interview with a woman by the name of Carrie Lynn Cassidy. And Carrie Lynn has a website or a blog called Project Camelot. And it's a whistleblower site, right? So she has all these different things, almost like conspiracy theories, stuff like this, aliens, government cover-ups, blah, 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 whistleblower, right? So anyway, she is taping an interview with him using Google Hangouts Live. This is back in 2016, right? So he's talking
for people who aren't techie like me. What is that, Kel? What is that Google you were just talking about?
Google Meets Live is basically like a Zoom meeting, like a Skype.
So video, audio,
video and audio. So you can see him and where he's sitting, and he could probably see her, right? But in the video, we just see him. He's sitting in his house. He's on his computer. He's talking to her. She's interviewing him. And as she's interviewing him, behind his shoulder, you can see what looks like to be a gray, a little alien peeking out from around the corner. And in this interview, he had also talked about how the aliens are underneath the ground, in the ground. And that's not the first time I've heard about aliens in the ground, right? I mean, look at War of the Worlds. In the one with Spielberg and Tom Cruise, they came out of the ground, right? The ships were already in the ground, right. Is what I'm saying.
Well, so, there's that hollow Earth theory.
Yeah. So he was also saying, because he was saying that he was telling her during this interview that he did not have the technology to see what was in the ground. And as he's talking, you can see this something behind him. And even she called it out. She was like, I think there's like something behind you. And he didn't seem to like get afraid or anything. But she is asked during that time, the video that I saw on YouTube, she was also asking for anybody that had really great video equipment to reach out to her to help magnify exactly what they were seeing behind, because it was a Google Meet, a Google chat, like a Zoom thing. And you got to remember, this technology, even though it was only 4 years ago, we've advanced a lot on video chat platforms in the past 4 years, 5 years. So this is Google Hangouts, so I just thought it was very interesting. And at that time, there was a little dog. She said, on what I read about what she said on YouTube, when she followed up with him, the little dog had gone missing. So
they got the dog. They got the dog.
They got the dog.
They did.
So that's all I could really find on Stardust, short of watching all the YouTube videos. And then, of course, he does have a book that's available on Amazon. You can go get his book where he's talked about all his accounts and all his experiences on this ranch.
Yeah, this, it's funny, because like our title, it's crazy. And we always say, it's not that we believe that people are crazy. These things that are happening are crazy. Can you imagine living in a place where you see an alien one time? You have an encounter one time, much less for 20 years. At what point do you say, you know what, I just can't do it?
And that's another thing. 20 years you've been combating aliens to the point where you've had to whip out a samurai sword.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I'm saying? At what point do you just say, you know what, we're leaving?
Right.
And
you can keep all my stuff.
Right?
I'll get other stuff.
So, and then some people might say, well, he's just saying that for the publicity. But I mean, I don't know why you would even want that type of publicity. I don't know why you would want that type of attention. I don't,
Well, if people are saying he wants a publicity, how many people have actually heard of him?
Yeah, that's true.
So if he wanted the publicity, he needs to get a new agent.
True. Because I didn't know about Stardust Ranch until you said something. The one that is definitely common that most people are aware of is SkinWalker Ranch, and I thought, what's homie's name of his ranch that did Star Wars? Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah, Skywalker Ranch.
So I used to get Skywalker Ranch and SkinWalker Ranch confused. But now I know that they are two different things, two different locations.
Yeah.
I have evolved. So James, I want you to tell us all about Skywalker Ranch.
No,
we're gonna take
SkinWalker Ranch.
Yeah. Oh my God, James, I want you to tell us all about SkinWalker Ranch. We're gonna take a break, and then we'll be back to talk about SkinWalker Ranch.
Correct.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, let me tell you, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free and free is always good. There's these really great creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. And then Anchor will take your podcast and distribute it for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need in one place to make a podcast. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's everything you need to make a podcast. Okay, SkinWalker Ranch. Not to be confused with Skywalker Ranch, which is a whole nother thing. Go, right. James. Tell us all about it.
Okay. In one of the earlier episodes in our first season, we talked about skinwalkers and how they have the ability to shapeshift. And so real quickly, they believe that the land where this ranch is located has been cursed. Okay. Back in the day, there were, well, you can go back to our earlier episode and listen to it, okay? And I will give you the details. But, the land's cursed and has been for hundreds of years. Initially, it was owned by the Sherman family. We were talking about how these people own this land, and they own it for years. This wild stuff's going on, and these people own this acreage for years. It says something about these people.
Yes, that I am not living in a haunted apartment, a haunted house, a haunted ranch. I'm not living in a haunted anything. I'm sorry, haunted may not even be the right term. I'm not living in a paranormal hotbed of any kind. If something starts levitating around the room, I am finding a way to get the hell out of there and go live someplace else.
Yeah,
I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that. Anyway, continue.
And once again, you can keep my stuff. I will get more stuff.
Yeah, I will get more stuff.
Yeah. So, so the Shermans own this ranch, and they're having these experiences with, cattle mutilations and seeing apparitions, okay? So then they sell it, and the next owner continues to have these experiences, okay? Same thing. Cattle mutilations, seeing apparitions. One of the first stories that I heard was that he has this wolf. He's on his ranch, and SkinWalker Ranch is located up in Ballard, Utah. Okay, and it's like 500 acres. I don't know how big that is. Okay, but this guy wants to ranch, and he has a history. I read a book about this. He has a history where he would breed these prize-winning cattle, and he'd raise bulls for breeding. So that's what his intent was, to do this on this land. It has a water source and all this stuff around it. Okay, so he's there. He sees this wolf, and at the shoulder, okay, you got to now picture this. At the shoulder, this dog is standing. He says, like almost 4 feet tall. At the shoulder. I mean, this is like a small pony. Okay. It comes up to where he's at, and it's a pen where he had some calves. And one of the calves reaches its head through the bars, and he says in an instant that wolf had gripped the snout of this calf and was trying to pull it through the pen bars. Okay. So he pulls out a .357 Magnum. Anyone who's familiar knows that's a pretty big caliber, okay? He puts several shots into this wolf, and it doesn't even faze it. Okay? Point blank range. Doesn't even faze it. He says at that point it releases the calf and walks away. All right. So his son goes and gets a high-powered rifle, 30-06. That's another big caliber. That's something used to take down big game, elk, things like that. Okay. So it's off in the distance. It takes another shot from this 30-06. No effect. Okay, so they start tracking it. They follow it. It goes. Now, things get crazy because it goes across, like he says, a riverbed where there's mud. You see its prints go halfway out and then disappear.
So, okay, wait a minute. Let's just stop right there.
Okay.
So, are you telling me that this dude found this giant wolf trying to eat one of his baby calves, right?
No, it came walking up to them, Kel.
It walked up to them?
Yeah, and it was friendly and stuff. They were petting it at first.
Well, wait, I'm trying to process because did you leave that part out of the story?
I did. I believe I did.
Okay, so wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute, James. Hold on.
My bad. That was a detail.
Give me a second because I was like actually speechless.
You were. It kind of threw me off.
So I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, so wait. So you're telling me that this dude and his son are out on their ranch where their cows are. This giant wolf that stands 4 feet at the shoulder.
At the shoulder.
Right? That's pretty big. That's huge.
That's huge.
Came up to them, and they didn't get scared. They petted it. They were petting the wolf.
They were petting it because it was so friendly. Now, I'm like you. It may walk up and be all friendly, but I'd be like, hey, wait a minute. Shouldn't be that big.
That's where we differ. A giant ass wolf isn't just gonna walk up on me because I'm gone. I'm in the car. I'm not petting it. But anyway, okay, let's get by that. So the wolf then saunters over to where he has his cows.
No, not saunters over. In the blink of an eye, leapt. They said 10, 12 feet and snatched his calf by the.
So it leapt. It leapt. Is leapt the word? Leapt from where they were over to where the pen was, where the cows are, and grabbed it by the snout and tried to pull it through the bars. Right.
Correct. You got it.
And that's when they shot it. Bam, 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 bam. How many rounds did the 357 hold? Is that 9? Is that 6?
No. Well, this was a revolver.
So is it 6?
Yes, I believe it is.
Okay, because I know my revolvers because I like revolvers.
Yeah. So that's a big caliber.
That's a big caliber. So bam, 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 bam. 6 rounds. Nothing.
No, it wasn't all 6. I don't believe it was all 6.
It wasn't all 6. So you didn't empty it.
No, I don't remember the exact number. So that's why I didn't want to say. Okay, but it was less than 6 because I don't remember him saying he emptied it.
Okay, so he shot at it, nothing. Then the son shot at it after a distance with the 30-06. Nothing happened. Then they this is what kills me. They follow it.
No shit. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm following you. Okay, they follow it, and then what?
So, like I said, they follow the tracks in the middle of this river. It disappears. That's just the first major encounter. Okay, they start having all sorts of other crazy shit happen. All right, the wife goes, brings home groceries. All right, that now you got to think the nearest town is like an hour away or something. So you're going to go, and it's not going to get 1 or 2 bags. She has to shop for a while. So she comes home, unloads all these groceries, puts them in the cupboards and all that stuff, okay? She goes, in the other room, and, 5 minutes later, she goes back in the kitchen, and all the groceries are back in the bags sitting out on the counter.
Wow.
All right.
So maybe, and she's positive that she put, no, okay, I guess my question is did was anybody else there besides her? in this story? Was it just her? And you know how they say, I had watched this one guy, this Native American deputy, I guess he
Right,
was a reservation police officer,
right,
right? And he had talked about missing time,
right. I don't.
right?
In that case, I think he actually gained time somehow.
Yeah, he gained time.
Right. Yeah.
But I know that there's been instances of people saying that they're missed time, right? So I wonder, do you think maybe she never emptied the groceries at all and she just lost that time?
That's a good question. I don't know if they thought of that in the book, but and you know what? That's when you read all the things that happens on this ranch. That's very possible.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe she didn't put them away. Maybe she thought she did, or she missed out on that time.
Right.
Right?
And that's funny you say that, because I do believe there are some. I believe there are portals that are opening and closing in this area that are allowing things to happen. I really do. They talk about. Okay, so after I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. He decided to sell it, and he sold it to Mr. Bigelow, and he is entrepreneur, billionaire, who is he started his own space program and stuff. So he took over this ranch to start studying it. Okay. And he was actually getting money from the government to do studies on this ranch. All right. So they were doing all these studies, and I don't recall, offhand how long he owned it. But then he sold it to it was kind of an unknown corporation.
So a corporation owns SkinWalker Ranch?
Correct. And we'll kind of get more into it, okay? And so they bought it. And, let me back up, okay? Because it was during the time when Bigelow owned it, is when the person who wrote this book was working there, okay? And so while he owned it, that's when some other things happened. They were out trying. Now remember, they're trying to do a scientific study. They want to know why all this is happening. So they have these teams of physicists and engineers and out there investigating. Okay, so they had set up cameras, all right, around the main house, and they witnessed what they describe as, how in Predator, how he kind of was kind of opaque and kind of blends in with the background.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they have this on video, moving across the camera, and then the camera goes dead. All right, so they go out there and they find that all of the wire had been pulled out, and it was one of those things where it would have taken a person several hours to lay all this wiring, but yet in the time it took them to get from here to there is probably 10 minutes, and by the time they got there it was all stripped and gone. And so things like this start happening. Another story I think is crazy is he's out there doing the ranch thing, and this guy comes up, and he's reportedly this big hippie guy. He's like, yeah, I want to come and experience the ranch and all this stuff. I hear all this stuff's going on. Do you mind if I come on? This was going on. So the guy's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So he comes out and he sits down. And he's sitting there, and he and the owner and his son notice one of these cloaked figures out in the distance across a field. They see it coming through the tall grass. Okay, they see it running, running through the tall grass, They see it run up on this guy, right in front of him, and then they hear this just tremendous roar. And then they watch this take off. Okay. So the guy freaks out. He gets up and he's like, hey, you know what? This is some evil shit. I'm out. Okay. So now what do you do when you see that stuff going on?
Do you leave?
I was thinking leaving right after the wolf,
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, you leave.
Yeah. Oh, you leave, period. Not like
you leave, right? You go. The guy that said he was out, you go with him.
Yeah, you're like,
I'm going with you. Yes, we're all leaving now. Yes.
So, these are some of the weird things that are happening. And when they were doing the study, the purpose of a scientific study is that you want to reproduce the results that you find. Okay? And I thought this was interesting. One of the scientists was saying, you know what? You can't reproduce these things because they're so random and they're so unbelievable. Like, you may be prepared to take audio, video evidence, but then they have these crazy infrared things going on that they don't know about until they've checked some other things and they weren't quite ready or whatever. There's these things that they can't predict that are happening, and they're random, and just wherever on the ranch happens. And so it's like you can't predict it. There is no method to that scientific. Nothing goes with scientific method.
You know that they have the television series, right? They had the SkinWalker Ranch. And did they ever, in this whole time, they have The Secret of SkinWalker Ranch, which is on now. Well, it was on last year, in 2020. But did they ever document anything on this 8? I think it was 8 episodes. Did they have anything significant?
This is funny, Kelly, because they saw some things like in one of the early episodes. I honestly thought that they had recorded a UFO. They see this shiny object in the sky, and then, in the blink of an eye, it's gone. And when they slow the video down, you can see it like streaking away. It's too fast for the human eye to see, And I was like, God, that's pretty damn, enticing. And then they had another one where there's this, it's night vision, I believe, and you see this kind of light orb or something moving up and over the trees, and then they don't even mention anything about that. But then they have these other things that are kind of suspect, and you're like, well, why are you following that? So it's interesting. One of the physicists on there, he was actually on Ancient Aliens quite a bit, and he actually, after the first season ended, he actually said he had problems sleeping. And this is why I don't understand anything about this part. They pick up this radiation from this well, and before they can check it out, make sure it's safe, this guy picks it up, those concrete slab, he picks it up, takes it off. He ends up getting some kind of radiation burn, and it had like a malignant tumor, is that what it's called, on his thumb or something? And they had to remove the growth, and he says it still doesn't feel right.
That's weird.
It's some of the things, like when Dr. Bigelow sold it, the second group of people, then that's kind of when I heard about it. There's a television reporter. Well, he's an author also, Roger Knapp out of Las Vegas. He's broke a lot of these stories. I remember him breaking the Bob Lazar story in '85.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been around for a while, and he co-wrote a book about Skinwalker Ranch. And some of the things that he said was going on it's incredible, Like I said, there were some scientists setting up an experiment. And while they're setting this experiment up, they see this like black hole-looking portal open up. And then, for lack of a better word, I would say something that looked like Bigfoot stepped out and walked away. And then the portal closes. Wow. And he's like, and it's one of those things, and you hear this a lot with the paranormal. People will have a camera in hand, and they're looking at this thing, and you're there, you're in shock. You can't believe what you're seeing. You much less, you're trying to process. You're not thinking, I better get a snapshot.
Right, right. So what I could find on it too is when you talked about it being owned by a corporation, is it's right now it's owned by Brandon Fugel.
Yeah, Fugel. He's here local,
right?
And he's the one that purchased it, and then it was real hush hush when he first got it.
Yeah, so he does own it, and the television show, which is on the History Channel, so that's a pretty credible channel, right?
I like History Channel, yeah.
Right, so it's called The Secret of SkinWalker Ranch. Now, I don't know if it's going to be on in 2021, but it was on in 2020. It was there was one season so far. It was 8 episodes, and they even did they used science and technology such as lasers, ground penetrating radar, drone thermography to search the whole property, and trying to explain the UFO sightings and trying to explain cattle mutilations.
Right. I mean, it's been happening up there for years, and it's crazy stuff. And it's not that far from we could meet there one time, Cal. Let's road trip.
I'm afraid not, my friend. I am not going. Now, if you want to go
Bring your samurai sword.
If you want to go to SkinWalker Ranch, we can go there, but I'm not going to SkinWalker Ranch.
You know what would be a good movie, Cal? Okay, so nerds want to go to SkinWalker Ranch, okay? What happens if these nerds somehow get lost and go to SkinWalker Ranch and all this crazy shit happens to them?
Well, see, and then it becomes a horror movie and nobody lives.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, that if you want to sell tickets to the movie, then you got to make it a horror movie, and nobody
change the genre. Yeah, where the two nerds live, and they have to keep investigating and stuff.
And nobody believes them.
Yeah, so they do a podcast.
Are you calling me a nerd?
Hey, man.
That's funny. But no, I'm not going to SkinWalker Ranch. I find it fascinating. And other episodes that we have coming up, like we're going to look at the Men in Black, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I also want to look at aliens and the link to them and volcanoes, or not even that, but pyramids and how they're power sources, how they all connect. Pyramids all over the world.
Yeah, all over the world.
Other crazy shit to me. So we've got some good stuff coming up. I like the SkinWalker. What is that?
Remember, we were going to talk about how triangles play a part in all this stuff.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff coming up, and we've got actually a couple of shaman guests that are coming up as well.
Yeah, that'll be good.
That'll be good as well. Anything else on SkinWalker Ranch?
Oh God, we could keep going. There's so many stories. It really is. Like I said, if you want to read the book about SkinWalker Ranch, George Knapp is one of the authors. I'm sorry, I don't remember the other one off the top of my head, but that's an excellent book. And after you read it, you'll have all sorts of questions that you want answers to.
It was Colm Kelleher.
Yeah.
Colm Kelleher and George Knapp wrote a book, and they actually, I don't know what the book is called, but it says it actually had been acquired by the National Institute Discovery for Science to study the sightings of UFOs and Bigfoot-like creatures, crop circles, and
we didn't even go into the crop circles up there.
No, and poltergeist activity.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff going on, and the ranch itself has been has been looked at. You know, of course, they've had people who are skeptics who have tried to debunk everything.
Oh yeah.
But I think that there's more stories than there are debunkings, right?
Well,
So
yeah,
that's
you
what I'm
can't
trying to
debunk
say.
these stories. Yeah, you can.
All right, James. Well, that is all that we have on Skinwalker and Stardust Ranch. We're going to move right into random bullshit. So, I read some articles, you know, with all of this stuff that's been going on in the country, everything. You know, we talked earlier at the beginning of the show about the riots at the Capitol, but something I read that kind of made me chuckle was they've appeared to have banned Trump off of some of the major social media outlets such as Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And so it kind of made me chuckle because I'm like that's like a big blow to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that funny that is the blow, I guess is what I'm saying. Out of all the things, you know, you are crushed that you can't get on social media, that you can't tweet today. That to me is crazy. I just thought I would bring that up because it made me laugh because I willingly walked away from all social media. And this man is like crushed that he can't get on social media. And this is a grown ass man of what, 70 years old?
So what does that tell you? You know, hey, impeachment, whatever, no big deal. Sex scandal, whatever. Oh God, you fucking took my Twitter account. God damn.
Right. That just made me chuckle because I'm thinking there are far greater implications that we could press upon you as part of your punishment.
Yeah.
As far as taking you, because that's what you do to a teenager. You're banned off of Facebook, and you know that's what you do to children. To adults, I think it just needs to be a little bit more severe. I think we need to have some accountability for our actions. Yeah. I'm just saying, you know.
And I agree with you, Kevin. I think that's part of the problem, you know. Now, there is no more accountability, really. You know, or maybe I should say I think there's selective accountability. Well, and that's part of the problem.
Remember how we had talked about where, and if you're a parent, maybe you'll agree or you might even disagree. But I remember my kids playing sports and you got a trophy for showing up. Didn't matter. Nobody lost. Nobody won. Yeah. We all just had fun playing the game.
And had cookies and lemonade after.
And everybody got a attaboy and an attagirl just for showing up. And I'm sorry, I disagree with that because you have to learn how to win gracefully and then you have to learn how to lose gracefully in life because that's just the reality of things. Right. Sometimes you don't get a medal for showing up. Sometimes you have to do a little bit more. Sometimes you will have competition and sometimes you will win. And sometimes you will lose. Yeah. And you have to learn how to deal with those things. And it's okay to lose. It's not the end of the world. Right. Okay? But if you make it like, if you've never lost before and you've always gotten rewarded for showing up, then what's your motivation to do anything, I guess is what I'm saying.
I agree with you. I grew up at a time where, you know, I played sports and if you weren't good or they didn't think you made the effort, you didn't play. There was just no show up. You know?
I played in a softball league, and there were winners and there were losers, right? And you dealt with it, and you know you just dealt with it. That's all. And if you were on that losing team, if you came in number 4, you weren't getting a trophy.
Yeah, number 4 was there was no number 4, you know. And when you go through, you know, junior high school, same thing. I played, you know, team sports, and it's like it's still, you know, there is no trophy just for showing up, you know. Sorry, that's just the way it is, and someone has to come up on the short end. And if you don't want to be that person, then you try harder. And you may, you know, and I'm not athletic or anything, you know, but I tried as hard as I could. And I have respect for people who do that, you know. I have a hard time when people just don't even try, don't even want to make the effort. And it's like, you know what? You may not accomplish it, whatever, but man, if you make that effort, dude, that's all you can do.
There's something in the trying
Yeah.
that will make you a better person, and respect people who do actually are able to do whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? Like, it is a lot to try, but if you're right, if you're not willing to try, then, I don't get
There's
it.
no do. It's like Yoda says, there is no try, only do. But if you don't even try, you'll never do.
And he calls me the nerd as he quotes Yoda.
I said there were 2 nerds. 2.
I'm just saying. I would never quote Yoda.
Yeah, you would. No, but you would quote Godfather.
I would, and there's lots of good quotes in The Godfather about doing what you need to do. But that's a whole another episode. We could do a whole episode on all the great antidotes that The Godfather provides that you could take with you in real life. And I tell my kids, The Godfather is a family movie. It is about family.
It is. It's about the family. Exactly.
It's about family and what you do for your family. But James, that is all the time that we have today on That Some Crazy Shit. Don't even get me going down that Godfather rabbit hole. That's my shit.
It is.
That's my shit. But I can bring this up real quick. So they remastered The Godfather Part 3 and they re-edited it and they released it, and it's called Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. And the movie is even in a different sequence. So now when you watch The Godfather Part 3, because yes, I watched it, it actually makes sense. That was the one thing about Godfather 3 that would drive me crazy, is it was really hard for me to figure out what exactly huge business deal is Michael Corleone trying to do with the Vatican and everything. It was confusing to me. But the way it's laid out, it answers a lot of questions. And I'm just saying. So
you feel better about number 3 now? I feel
better about number 3. It's still not the caliber of 1 and 2, but if you can see the remastered version, it does bring a little redemption to number 3. That's all I'm saying.
And you seem a little more at peace with that.
I seem at peace because
you really do.
I am, because it makes sense to me. I felt like
I can see it in your face.
I felt like all of these years I never and I would watch a movie and not like, what the hell are they trying to do? And now I get it. So I appreciate Francis Ford Coppola for doing that, especially for me as a fan of the Godfather trilogy. I'm a huge Godfather fan. That is a whole nother story. So next week, we're going to be doing the Men in Black. And that will be really interesting because we're going to be finding a lot out about the Men in Black and how people say that they really exist.
Right. It's not all cute Will Smith Men in Black either.
Correct. Mundo. All right. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of That's Some Crazy Shit. My name is Kelly.
And I am James. Keep an open mind, people.
And we'll see you next time.